Hello everybody. Today is gonna be the first video of a series of short videos I'm gonna be doing on Java. So today I'll be using CPLEX 12.6 and 64-bit, and I'll be doing this example that I'm showing right here on Java. So for that you need to have, well, at least I am going to use Eclipse. You can get it from eclipse.org. Make sure that you're using the 64-bit version because we have the 64-bit CPLEX installed. And also make sure that Java that you have installed on your computer is also running a 64-bit version, right? Usually you have 32 bits already installed, but that won't work. So just make sure you have the 64-bit also installed. All right, cool. Okay, let's open up Eclipse and start with this. Okay, so I'll be doing this small sample linear programming. Only 2 variables, 3 constraints, positive variables, and the feasible region is defined as you can see here in the picture. All right, so we go ahead here and create a new project, a new Java project. We're going to call it example1. And I'm using Java 8, but it doesn't matter. You can be using Java 7, and we won't be using any of the new features of Java 8 here. And go ahead here and create a new class. This is going to be our application there. All right. Okay, so this is the first thing you should have. And let's make sure that our project is going to include the library from CPLEX. This is a very important step. So you go ahead here in project, go to properties, and here at Java build path, go to library, and you need to add external Java har. So go to wherever you have installed CPLEX 12.6, the version I'm using right now. Go to CPLEX, library, and double click here. And one small step, extra step, you go here, native library location, go here to edit it, and again, we need to find the DLL files, which are going to be also where you have CPLEX installed. And in this case, will be in this folder right here. Okay. See? All right. Perfect. So now our CPLEX project is linked to CPLEX. And to make sure that we are going to have that here, I'm going to go ahead and do this, import ilog.concert for the concert technology. And import ilog CPLEX to make that is going to help us to run the model, right? So we use the construct technology to write down the model and the CPLEX library to solve it, right? Okay, let's create another method here where we're gonna model a problem. So all right, public static void, and this is gonna be model 1. Okay. Model 1. And we're gonna do this before starting anything. We're gonna have to put this in a try and catch. So do this, and you have to include this every time. I'll exception. I'm gonna collect that. And if there's an error, then we're just gonna print it to try to trace what it is afterwards. And it looks like I have written something wrong here. Okay, no, that's just gonna go away after we write something. All right, so we just start doing this. First of all, by creating our model. Okay, so right here we're actually making a copy of the CPLEX engine, creating an instance of the CPLEX engine that's going to solve our model. So everything we're going to write it on that variable. All right. Okay, so let's start now with, let's go ahead with defining some variables. So we have X and Y. Remember that Java is case sensitive, so you really need to pay attention to the upper and lower cases. So this is going to be a CPLEX number. All right, so it goes from 0. In this case, we see that it's positive, right? It starts in 0 and goes to infinity. But infinity doesn't really exist on a computer, so we just call double and go to the maximum value. All right, that's close enough to infinity. And we also have the option here at the end to give it a name. So let's just give it a name. That'd be X. Okay. So the same thing goes with Y, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy that code. Okay, so let's define some expression, right? Some expressions. The objective. So this is going to be I'm going to call it objective. This is going to be a CPLEX linear num expression. Okay, so basically an expression is just a function of the variables. All right, so you don't want to have extra variables in the model that are a direct function of other variables. And if you ever see that case, you should be using expression rather than creating a third variable that is equal to a function of other variables. All right, so let's add the first term, 0.12x, to the objective. So we do sorry about that. So we do of objective that add term, and what we add is the 12.12 and x. Okay, so we are adding a term to this objective which at this point doesn't have anything in it, so at this point it's just 0. Then to 0 we add the multiplication between a number and a variable. All right. Also, it could be another expression in here. It doesn't have to be just a variable. It can be an expression as well. And a number that is multiplying. In a case that you don't want it to be multiplied by any number, you should be putting a 1. All right. All right. And then we add the other term, 15y. Okay, if by any case you were to have here a minus 0.15, you should put minus in here, all right, inside, because the add term is always going to be adding. Okay, next. Okay, but this is only a expression called objective. Right now, CPLEX doesn't know that that's the actual objective. CPLEX at this point doesn't have a clue what the objective is. It only knows what are the variables. That's all. It doesn't even know this is a minimization problem. So we're gonna tell them right now. So right here we go. CPLEX add minimization problem, minimize, and inside we're gonna write the objective that we just created up here. That's it. Now CPLEX knows that this is a minimization problem and the objective is 0.12x plus 0.15y. All right, that's really simple. Next, define. We're gonna define the constraints. So in this case, we have only 3 constraints. Everything we write it on CPLEX. So we add, in this case, it's a greater than equal kind of constraint. So greater and equal. Okay, add GE stands for adding greater and equal. And okay, so the first term in here should be the left-hand side of the inequality, and the second term here should be the right-hand side of the inequality. We cannot just, this is a total mistake. Try to write this. It just won't work. I mean, X in this case is just an object in Java. All right. In order to this to make sense, X to have to be should be either a double or a long or integer. It should be a number, but in this case it's an object. So basically, the computer doesn't know what 60 multiplied by an object is. So okay, so we need to write this some other way. And first, you gotta identify that this is a sum of 2 terms, where the first term is a multiplication of a constant and a variable, and the second the same. Let's go ahead and write that. So we're gonna tell CPLEX it's gonna be a sum where the first term is a multiplication, it's the product. It's the product of 60 and x, and the second term is a product between 60 and y, and this should be greater or equal than 300. There you have it. Okay, so here we're saying CPLEX multiply 60 by x, multiply 60 by y, make the summation, and this should be greater or equal than 300. Okay? And basically the same goes for the other constraints. So this is 12, this is 10, here is 6, 30, 36, and 90. Okay, what else? We have the constraints. Now, these last two constraints, we already wrote it. Are right here when we define the variables. We give it so you don't need to add that constraint. You already know that the variable has to be positive. So the only thing here left to do is let CPLEX solve this. And we do that by doing this, CPLEX solve. All right, it's as simple as that. And since this project is going to start running in this method, the main method, we're going to call our methods from here. We're going to call it in here, so it gets to be executed. Okay, so we have our first CPLEX model in Java. Let's try to see if this runs. All right, there we have it. Objective is 0.6. Okay. Not so quite, right? Doesn't quite give me that much information right here in the console. Let's try to make some output. Let's do some post-processing. So whenever CPLEX solves the problem, it's going to throw here either true or false. True if it's found an optimal solution, and false otherwise. So we're going to write this: if CPLEX solve. All right. So if an optimal solution was found, then something, and else we're going to let know the user then something went wrong. So model not solved in this case. And so as we solve it, we're going to say system print. So the objective is going to be equal to, so we call the objective using this get, CPLEX get objective value. And something similar. I wanted to give me the x value and the y. So in this case, that get value, and we write what we want to get. That's the one. Get value for variable y. Okay, let's do this again. Okay, so that's what we wrote. So our objective is in fact 0.6666, and the x value is 3 and the y value is 2. Okay, if you see here in the picture, right, is that point right over there. And this is it. This is enough for our first example. I hope this video is useful. Make any comments. I'm going to try to answer all of the questions you have. Thank you for seeing this video.